It absolutely has. We're still doing dynamic pricing to this day. The podcast reaches people in 20 countries, as you know, people that are expats or people that work with North America, but they're, domiciled in another country. $20 in one country is not the same as $20 in another country, right? It's really different. We have come out with courses that people can do online that are priced from $15 to $40 so that we can give people an entry point into the experience of coaching who may never have $3,000 to pay a coach, right?
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets Podcast. I'm Pedro, and today's guest is Myrna King, founder of Alive Design, and she's an executive and personal coach who helps founders and leaders tackle big challenges with clarity and accountability. With a background in finance, tech, entrepreneurship, and decades of coaching, she focuses on strengthening partnerships, aligning strategy, and building systems that support real results. She also develops high potential teams and guides clients through TEDx talk preparation, bringing a practical, people-centered approach to leadership growth and organizational performance. Welcome to the show, Myrna.
Wow, Pedro, I sound pretty amazing when you describe me.
Well,
it must be really something.
Exactly. Well, that's just you, and I'm happy to have you.
Do that? Yeah, I do that. No, I do that too. You
Do I
just
do
don't
that?
normally hear
Yeah.
yourself described very often.
That's true, but happy to have you, Myrna.
Delighted to
And
be
all
here.
right. I'd like to rewind a bit. Every coach has that moment where they look at their life and they say, you know what? I guess this is what I'm doing now. So when was that for you?
I had been a business consultant for, 10 years. And I started teaching meditation at an early age. So I'm a 30-year yoga meditation teacher. And so in helping people who wanted peace of mind or clarity or mindfulness, I was helping people just on a volunteer basis, teaching at churches or at retreats. So I'd had kind of the personal touch of someone who was kind of getting centered and taking a fresh look at their life just through years of meditation teaching. And then when I looked at business consulting, I was in kind of a webinar with some other coaches, and I thought I could marry those two things. The business consulting, what I knew about entrepreneurs and running a business, and then also the personal lives. How do they tame the chaos? How do they have peace of mind? How do they have clarity about purpose? So I just brought those two pieces together with business and personal coaching. So yeah, it was about 6 months after my adult son moved out of the house and I had free time. And I think I'm going to add coaching to the mix. And that's how it began. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Especially with the fact that it started in churches and retreats and you volunteer for that. So it's almost like a calling, right? So I really like that,
It really does. And I think when you see the light bulb go over somebody's head or they give you feedback, I know you told me it would get a lot better. And I didn't believe you, but hey, it got a lot better. And you're like, yes, this is why I do this. Yeah, it's really rewarding work.
And when did it shift from I'm helping people, volunteering on churches, retreats, to I'm building an actual real business around this?
I decided I'm a person who likes to try before they buy. I want to see, are the results real? And I found 3 coaches in the Austin area that were doing what I wanted to do. And I just reached out to them on a cold call and said, I'm launching a coaching practice to be alongside my business consulting. Could I run my notes and the process that I've designed past you, taking the client's name out? I'm going to do some pro bono clients. Can you just check my work, make sure the maths? And I got 3 of them to tell me yes. And then at the end of 3 pro bono clients, who I also walked up to cold. Hey, it looks like you're having this challenge. I might be able to help you solve that. Would you be a pro bono client for me as I launch my coaching practice? And would share the notes. And then finally, the last question I asked them was, what do you think I should charge? And they said, you should charge what we're charging because you're right where we are. But it was only because I'd had 30 years of meditation teaching and more than 10 years of business consulting. So my life had caught me up, even though my coaching practice hadn't been that. But what I brought to the table was similar to what they were doing. So that's when I knew, okay, these three coaches are doing what I want to do, and they've all given me a green light to do it too. I'm doing it. So that was my path.
That's interesting. The fact that you were so courageous, right? Like the cold calling aspect to it. I love that, and taking pro bono clients and being humble about it. Hey, how much should I charge? So that's interesting to see from your perspective. And after you got rolling, who are the people that kept showing up? The ones you realized, okay, these are my people.
I think it was people that had the courage to be entrepreneurs or the courage to kind of embrace their ambition. Sometimes it was people that had a courage to break a pattern that was repeating. I've been divorced X number of years and I seem to date the same guy and I need to break the pattern. So they're willing to there's a spiritual teacher called Byron Katie, and she has a phrase that we have to make friends with reality. If we see a pattern, we have to say, yeah, I'm repeating that pattern. We just have to make friends with the fact that I've been doing this and I've been blind to it until now. But now that I see it, I can engage differently and have a different outcome. So I'd say there's a level of courage in all the clients I work with.
That's interesting. The level of courage. And you've been through it, right?
Absolutely.
Like cold calling takes courage.
Dialing for colors, smile and dial. It does. You
Yeah.
have to feel confident that what you're offering can be helpful to people. And then you have
Right.
to have an honest screening process as well. Let's find out if what would help you if you're having this challenge. And here's our solution. Is it a fit? If it is, let's work together. If it's not, thank you for your time. So it was always a place of service that I did that.
Okay. I mean, that's the coaching side. Now, let's talk about the part nobody escapes, right? Marketing. Already got it. I just checked here the code calling aspect, but how do people usually find you?
Today it's LinkedIn. Post-COVID, I think it's LinkedIn and referrals, people who've worked with me. But before COVID, I was in networking groups. I would go to luncheons and presentations. I'd come together with some other executives and put on presentations for small businesses. A women's leadership lunch, we put on a TEDx conference. And so sometimes we would attend other people's events. Sometimes we would create events of our own. And so, yeah, I would have colleagues who also were processing whatever leadership they were in their life or career, and we would join forces and be in front of people. So less of that post-COVID. Now it's nearly always referrals or LinkedIn.
Crazy how COVID was sort of a catalyst for certain services, right? Especially in the coaching space. We talked with a lot of coaches and they did that shift right after, at least when they're into COVID. So yeah, that's interesting. Okay. All right, let's talk business for a second, Myrna. So people find you, right? They resonate with your work, and eventually they want to know what working with you actually looks like. Everyone builds their coaching business a bit differently. So when someone actually becomes a client, what does that experience look like right now?
Typically, I design this so that it allows me to be the best person for the client I work with. It allows me to shine for them. So I typically work with someone for a month. And then we say at the end of the month, did we take the train out of the station? Are we on the right track? And if the answer is no, then I want to refer them to somebody else. It's pretty rare that we're underway and we're not in sync. Sometimes people will say, I just got laid off, or I've been transferred and I have to go settle into a new city and I'll circle back with you. For the most part, once we begin, we're knocking down whatever it is they need to get accomplished. And so I typically identify what are the outcomes we want, and one by one, we achieve those outcomes. Some of the outcomes are 6 months down the road for the client, but what we can put in place in the short run is, do you have all the tools to bring that outcome about? Do you have the work you need Do you have the social skills? Are you asking questions? Are you getting support? How do we build the infrastructure so that now you can finish the job if you want to do it on your own? And I'm successful when they set sail with a boat that's not leaky. So, they are now a competent sailor for their own ship.
Okay, so just to clear one thing about when we're talking about structure, does it look like more one-on-one coaching, group coaching? Is there an online piece to it? How do we structure the business?
Yeah, it's mostly one-on-one coaching or it's teams. I've worked with some small teams where there's a team dynamic and then many one-on-ones with the team throughout the month until whatever it is that's crooked is made straight. Their communications with each other, whether they're on a Slack channel or they're in Teams or whatever that looks like. And usually when I work with teams, we find out where the communication is lacking. How come these two people don't understand their assignment? Or how come they don't feel heard? And, you typically do an assessment for the team. And so the leaders can see this person responds to language, this person is kinetic, this person is a visual learner, this person is. So the messaging you share has to tick all those boxes for the whole team to be on the same page. And it's enlightening for leaders to say, that's why they never listen to me. Or why these two can read the memo and then do the tasks, and these two scan the memo and don't remember anything in it and don't know what they're supposed to do next. So it's just how people are differently abled in terms of how they learn and process. My focus is to celebrate all their pluses. This person brings the vibrancy to the team. And this person is the one who makes sure all the lids are screwed on tight before she leaves for the day. You know what I mean? People have different capacities, and leaders have to learn to work with all different kinds of capacities. Weaving that together is fun for teams. Typically, it's the owner of the company or the division leader where I start, and sometimes they bring their teams in.
So we were talking before the podcast that you also have a podcast. And on top of that, we're talking about a one-on-one component and a group component. And your work seems pretty hands-on. So how do you think about capacity so don't stretch yourself too thin?
In terms of, well, we've, in alifedesign.org, created a library of videos for people that are exploring either spiritual topics or personal topics or business topics. And so I think there's the easy way it is to record and share video today is a way to sort of extend. I did a video on what is a permission set, and I've worked that through with clients frequently, but I can also share the video. Let's look at what permissions have been granted in this team and have an agreement among the team. This is our permission set. So, I think video really helps that way. We're looking at doing some team coaching. One of the coaches that's on our team has started a Zoom men's group that meets twice a month. And there are some people that are using Telegram or WhatsApp for doing little micro coaching as needed. So they pay like a monthly retainer to have access to coaching. And then when they're bumping up against something that they're working with, text a message, like, was this the right way to say this? Or how do I approach so-and-so about such and such? And they get little micro coaching in real time. So the world of coaching is very exciting. How many different ways technology is helping people. And I think there are times in a person's life where that kind of one-on-one is what's needed because there's some heavy lifting involved. And that's hard to do via Telegram or WhatsApp, right? And then there are times when a lighter touch and a reminder is really all you need because the ship has set sail. So now they just check that they're still headed north every once in a while and we're good. So I think it's wonderful to have the variety of ways that people can be coached. And I'm a big fan of, we say at A Life Design that we want to be a rising tide that lifts all the boats, so people can be as engaged with the happiness in their lives as they choose to be. It can be exhausting to do personal development. We're like, gosh, am I ever going to finally get to where I want to go? And, I need to take a break. People find this about therapy also. I need to take a break. I've done the deep dive and I'm a little exhausted or weary. I want to, have some peaceful time where I'm not working on myself. Where other times it's like, I've got to get this figured out. I need to get to the bottom of it. There's an urgency about that. And one-on-one can really be helpful there.
So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I wasn't aware about the online component, so that makes sense. So we don't stretch ourselves too thin. So one thing, every coach wrestles with at some point is pricing, right? And how to package their work. And we talked about that in the early stages of the podcast when you mentioned you asked people, hey, how much should I charge, right? So how do you think about it today? And were there any lessons along the way that shaped how you landed there? You don't have to drop hard numbers, okay? It's just
No?
the mindset, if that
Yeah.
changed over the years.
It absolutely has. We're still doing dynamic pricing to this day. The podcast reaches people in 20 countries. And so, as you know, people that are expats or people that work with North America, but they're, domiciled in another country, $20 in one country is not the same as $20 in another country, right? It's really different. And so we have come out with courses that people can do online that are priced from $15 to $40 so that we can give people an entry point into the experience of coaching who may never have $3,000 to pay a coach, right? They may never have revenue or income that would make that possible. So we try to work on that ladder of, can we make courses available that are at a very low cost and give people introductions and they can make real change. And then we sell individual coaching packages. And it's really designed not so much, here's my 3-month package, here's my 6-month package. It's really, what are you trying to accomplish? And let's create a coaching program that will, produce that result for you. So they're all customized, but we have team coaching packages, which is not the norm. If someone says, I'm working on this and I'm working on this, I'm working on this, we might have 3 coaches engage with them over 3 months or 4 months, each working a part of it. You compare that to bringing your car in. Sometimes you bring your car in to rotate the tires and change the oil, and that's all you need. Other times the transmission needs an overhaul and the brakes need doing. So we have a transmission specialist and a brake specialist, and then the oil change and tire rotation. Again, depending on what that person is engaged in, we have people that have expertise and we can put them in the mix and design and customize programs. So that's the top end. That runs between $3,000 and $10,000, depending how many people are involved. Do they have 3 months or 4 months? And so in an executive capacity, you might have a division leader who's part of your team, but really needs 2 very specific things. But the leader themselves needs other things, and that coaching package for that company then might include more people, but doing very specific coaching to get the results that they desire. You find that in your coaching career, I remember back in the day, if you worked at AT&T or IBM or General Electric, they would put rising executives in different divisions for 6 months at a time because they wanted to have them be rounded in terms of understanding this is the logistics department and this is engineering and this is human resources, and they could sort of figure out how to be a shortstop and a pitcher and a catcher, because they were going to have to manage people ultimately in all those different divisions. But for an individual, kind of your career path has taught you what you've learned, and you may have never come across the thing you need to know now. And so coaching can fill the gap. They can upskill, they can point you in the direction of training, they can provide the training depending on what's needed. You may never have had to do this thing, lay off 50 people and reallocate, your staff work hours to produce the result that's still required. So you will come across things you haven't done before, and coaching is great for that.
I like that. The fact that you to customize package in a way, so it's really not, you're not really pushing people into X, Y, and Z. You're really understanding the process and adapting that to the best solution.
And to be sure that
That's
it's a
really
fit.
interesting.
Yeah, to be sure that it's a fit. I know for me,
Yeah.
I've taken coaching programs and I've taken training, sales development, and I really hate paying to be taught things I already know. It's sort of like if you order a price fixed meal and there's 10
Mm-hmm.
plates, 6 of them you wouldn't eat to save your life. And you're like, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I didn't need to pay for 10 plates. I'm going to eat 4 of
Mm.
them. So that's why we custom design our packages. We give you what it makes sense for you to pay for and do not give you what it doesn't make sense for you to pay for.
Okay. That makes sense. Now, I'm curious about where you're taking all this, right? Looking ahead, where do you see the business going? Are you thinking about scaling, hiring, or is there a next step you're excited about?
Yeah, we are scaling. We've spent the last 14 months building a team of coaches at Alive Design. And yeah, we have a lot more that we want to do. In January, we're launching some micro courses where people can learn something in one session. So that took off on TikTok. I don't know if you follow TikTok at all. I don't really, but where you could learn to do something just today. And again, if you don't have a lot of time, but you do want to see if you can expand something or understand something better, or just try something you've always been curious about, but you don't want to make a big commitment. I don't want to buy all the supplies to learn how to be an oil painter. And commit myself to 6 months. But what if I could take one class that would show me how to create greeting cards, with, 2 colors of paint and one paintbrush? I might dip my toe in. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, we're going to let people dip their toes in the new year. And again, with an eye to a global audience, English as a second, third language, and
Mm-hmm.
to try things. The micro courses, are again very low priced and people can just try things. So, if we want to have a robust, fulfilling life, we're going to have to try things. So we're encouraging that.
Right. And of course, whenever we're aiming toward the next chapter, there's always something we're refining in the present, right? So, what are you currently trying to improve or tighten up in your business?
Yeah, I would say maybe the communication channels. As a boomer, usually if there's a mistake, it's operator error on my part in terms of, I think before we got started, I had sent an email and the email didn't go through, and I'm now copying and pasting it into WhatsApp so this client can get what he needs before a meeting in an hour. And so back and forth between, and I notice there's some people that are just born cable ready. My adult son is one of those. WhatsApp and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. And
Mm-hmm.
I get stuck when I'm posting to social media. And I have an editor who posts to social media too. But it goes fine on Facebook and LinkedIn, and then we get to Instagram and the ratio's wrong. Okay, that needs to be square. YouTube likes things that are landscape. So for me, the technology piece is something I continue to refine. But I'll probably never be a good video editor. I just confess I'll probably never master video editing, but we're tinkering at all of it.
Okay. Interesting. I want to switch gears for a second and do something different here, a bit more fun. If you're down for it, I got a
I'm
quick
down.
game for you.
I have courage. Let's go.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, I like that. Okay, we'll look at this through the lens of business investments. Okay, things like coaching, training, marketing, team, masterminds, you name it. It's simple. I'll give you 4 prompts and you tell me the first thing that comes to mind. If there's a story behind it, even better. Okay? Okay. What's the first business investment you remember making?
It was the biggest, scariest one. $4,000 20 years ago into a 2-year sales training program. I had a very young child, and it meant lots of homework and one night a week out of the house that I had to find accommodation for. $4,000 would be like saying $25,000 today. I'm a single parent, and I really wanted to master. I realized that I was going to need to be able to sell to be successful and earn more money than I could just in a regular salary. And as a single parent, I was trying to have a 2-income household by myself. And so I always thought salespeople were bad.
Mm-hmm.
They were rip-off artists. They only told you part of the story, and then you got a negative surprise after the fact. And I thought, if I take this course, I will learn how to sell and be a good person and have the person have a net positive effect. I'll overcome this idea that I have that used car salesmen are, what a salesperson is. And I spent a lot of money in 2 years' time and learned that you can be of service and make offers to people. And when the offer works, yay. And if it doesn't, it's probably informed them somehow about what a better offer would look like for them so they can go find it. So, but that was the first big investment I made in training.
I love the fact that the transformational change was already there, but towards an industry, towards salespeople. I love that.
Yeah,
The coach was always there, right? So
yeah,
I like
she's
that.
always been there.
Okay. So what's the most recent one you made? Business investment.
Most recent one I made. I suppose it's been expanding staff. And so I recently hired someone who understands Go high level architecture. I don't know if you know
Mm.
what that is.
Yep.
And I'm trying to get my dashboard to report that, leads and ads that have been spent on Instagram or on Facebook or on LinkedIn or on Google, where did they come from and what is the conversion? And my dashboard is
Mm,
not working. So I hired a young man in Pakistan a week ago to
mm,
untangle the wires of the Go high level platform I'm on and get them working and reporting so my dashboard is useful, because when you have good information, you can make good decisions.
mm-hmm,
And I don't have any feedback on the advertising spend right now. So I
mm.
just hired a young man in Pakistan to solve that for me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially if you want to track, campaign to campaign to see
Yes.
where you hit the mark or you didn't. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, and if I want people to get coaching, I have to know how to reach them effectively, or I'm
Mm-hmm.
not producing the result I want. So it's more than just we sold courses or, we got people to tune into the podcast. If we want to make a difference, people have to engage in the work for a difference to be made for them.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Next one. What is the best financial business investment you have made and why?
I'd have to say it's that $4,000 on the sales course,
Mm,
because it changed the trajectory of my career. And it gave me an ability to be an entrepreneur. So the first time I went out on my own as a business consultant, it was as a result of I was a chief marketing officer for IT consulting firm at the first big tech bubble. And so over like a 3-month period of time, 1 million people got pink slips, and I was one of them.
mm,
And the industry I was in just contracted really hard. And so through no fault of my own, there weren't IT consulting contracts basically dried up. So, you know, we weren't spending money on marketing, so they didn't need a chief marketing officer. And, the opportunities had to shift for me because I had developed that sales understanding. I knew I could craft something as a consultant and make offers for that outside of IT consulting. So, yeah, I'd have to say that really shifted the trajectory, and it gave me a skill set I could redeploy at a time where the market just went upside down and I had to do something else in order to keep my son in private high school. So,
mm,
it's like, guess what? It's up to me. And the world is inside out. What do I have to work with? So, I have to say, one of the coaching phrases that I use a lot is we always start where we are. It's like if you look down at your feet, you see that little square on the game board that says start here. Start right where we are. There's no other place to start. And then there is something that course taught me, that you work with what you have. And what they taught us to do in that course many years ago was to create an inventory of opportunity. What do I have to work with? How do I actually look in the toolbox and see what do I have to work with? Who do I know? What experience could come to play of this thing I'm thinking about doing? How would I package it? Who could support me so that if I, have a plan, they can keep me accountable on my plan? But to work with what you have and create an inventory of opportunity makes sense for people seeking a new career, people seeking to move up, have some ambition in their career, or people that find themselves in circumstances outside of their control, like this market collapsed and it was the one that was paying your living. Do
mm,
something else now. What would it be?
mm.
Oh, what do I have to work with? And you start there.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I love that the fact that the best is the first. I love that. Okay. So, the last one. What's one investment you wish you could get your money back on?
I feel like I learn personal lessons along the way no matter what. So if you decide that something can teach you lessons, it will, whether it's the lesson you signed up for or some other lesson.
Mhm.
So, trying to think.
If you don't have any,
I
I
really
mean,
don't have any. I
no
mean,
worries.
small thing, and it tells you that I'm not built to use software. I'm personally not
Mm,
built for that. I've 3 times taken an Excel class over 5 years, including one-on-one with an expert, and still can't manage Excel. There's no Excel DNA. It's missing
mhm,
and it cannot be installed. I tried 3 times. So I'm not sorry that I did that, but now I know for sure somebody else does the spreadsheets. And I tell
mm.
people you don't want me updating that spreadsheet because it'll get mangled. I promise you, you want me to touch the Google sheet, the Excel sheet? No. And I've learned how to do it. It doesn't stick. And then I try to do it and I mess it up. People say, give that back to me. What did you do? I thought I told you this is not something I should work on. So even if at all it taught me this is not for you, get somebody else on the team or hire someone to do this part for you because this is not for you. I learned that.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, the fact that you tried, but that taught you a lesson. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. You're trying to take a positive out of a negative, which sometimes it's just part of life, right?
Well, we learn who we are. And we also learn that we're not all the same. Like
Mm,
we're very similar, but we are not all the same. And I know you've met people who um, have a natural mechanical ability or that
mm.
have an artist's eye where they see that should be light blue, not dark blue. And you do the light blue and you're like, how did you know that was going to be 10 times better? But they have an artist's eye. I also do not have that. But you can recognize it in other people that they just comes very easily to them, where there are other things that come easy to me. Problem solving, helping people shift a perspective comes easy to me. So, yeah, we all have our gifts and it's useful to work within them.
Yeah, that resonates with me because I'm like, the colors for me are the ones that are in the rainbows, you know? So that's blue. Okay, I got it. That's blue. But oh no, but that's navy blue. Oh no, I know baby blue. And I'm like, okay, honey, you pick the best. You think the one's best. To me, that's all blue. But
Well, and
I like
if
that.
you've ever painted a room, you'll find out there are like 25 colors
Yeah,
of white. 25 different colors of white. White that's a little blue, white that's a little pink, white that's a little yellow, white that's a little gray. Okay, I'm not the interior decorator. I went with white and then you refine it from there.
exactly. Okay. So, I mean, I love that. And if someone's listening and wants to connect with you or follow your work, Myrna, where can people find you and connect with you?
Well, I would send them to the YouTube channel, Life Design Team Coaching, alifedesign.org, and you'll see our team of coaches on the About page. And then my LinkedIn profile, Myrna King, on LinkedIn. And I'd love to connect with people. I do offer a pretty standard 30-minute, hey, what's going on for you? Let's see if I'm the person that should be helping you, or if one of our other coaches or someone else outside of our network that I could refer. I have a funny story about an engineer that was referred to me.
Mm,
10 years ago. It's before times, before COVID. And he was 5 years out from retirement. And I knew him from some joint networking projects. And he said, I want to sit down with someone and kind of plan. I have a lot of time. What will I do? Because I have a lot of active years left. And I'm going to be done being an engineer in 5 years, and I'm good with that. I want to do something else, but I don't know what. Like, I have no idea what else I might do. So I'm wondering if coaching could help me. And as I was talking with him, I realized there was another person that was in the co-working facility that I was taking meetings in back in the day and who had a very, very male presence and a very vibrant artistic presence. That was his just nature. And so I said, I can help you with this. I can help you make the plan and we can try different things until you figure out what's a fit. But before we do that, I want to have you talk to Phil. And if Phil's right for you, work with Phil. If he's not right for you, come back to me and we'll knock this out together. I see a plan for you and we can get you there, but for some reason, have a conversation with Phil first. What
hmm
Phil did with this engineer, okay? He sat him down at the table and he said, I want to have you paint a picture for me of happy times from your past. And he was having trouble doing that. Phil took out butcher paper, put it on the table, opened up a box of 32 crayons and said, draw it for me. And the engineer lit up. I haven't touched a crayon since I was in school, and I'm no good at drawing, but I can do a picture of. He just lit up. That was the exact right way for him to design what was coming next. The opposite of how an engineer might do it. And so, when you get the right coach, it's magic when you get the right coach. And it's part of what keeps me in coaching is the difference it makes for people. And believe it or not, I'm not always the right one. I am often the right one. But if I'm not the right one, I'll find you the right one.
Okay. I mean, there were a few things you shared today that really stuck with me. I think the volunteer part, to start with churches and retreats, that's so cool, doing pro bono work. And also the cold calling aspect to it to launch the coaching practice. I really like how courageous you were, because we see a lot of people when they're starting a business, am I good enough? They're self-doubting, and you just went straight forward and start calling people. And also the thing that I want to highlight too, that I think it's important, is how you're doing, right? The affordable, to make coaching affordable to other countries. That they need
Have
it
a coaching
also.
experience be accessible
Yeah,
to practically anybody anywhere
exactly.
is a benefit to humans.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. That's so cool. And I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate you being here and sharing so openly today, Myrna. It was great having you.
I'm grateful to have had this conversation with you, Pedro, and I love what your group is doing also. Let's get more people coached. What do you say? Let's get more people coached.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.